25% will have hardly any symptoms and will sail through. 50% of us will have a mixed bag of symptoms that really do impact on our quality of life. Another 25% will be severely affected. And sadly we do hear of women ending their lives because they can't cope with the symptoms of the menopause. With all the publicity and all the push for HRT, that it is the only solution and it's going to be the full answer and the magic wand, and it's not.
So HRT is usually the go-to when women kind of begin showing signs of the menopause. Is this the most effective solution? Are there alternate solutions?
Definitely. In HRT, of course, it's very much in the media, isn't it? The HRT is what you need. And there's lots of evidence. And through my nursing profession, NICE guidance, we follow the British Menopause Society and other international menopause societies. The evidence is there that HRT is first-line treatment for symptoms of the menopause. And we know it can be hugely effective for many, many women. It can be life-changing for many women and life-saving for many women. However, there's lots of women that can't take HRT. There's lots of women that don't want to take HRT for whatever reason. Or they may have tried it and it's not suitable, or it's no longer suiting them. So yes, HRT is an important part of the treatment options, but it is an option. And all the things we've been talking about when it comes to holistically looking after ourselves can be enough for many women to manage symptoms. I think it depends how bad are your symptoms. When we look at this, the variability of women, 25% will have hardly any symptoms and will sail through. 50% of us will have a mixed bag of symptoms that really do impact on our quality of life. Another 25% will be severely affected. And sadly we do hear of women ending their lives because they can't cope with the symptoms of the menopause. Hugely debilitating. The women we've talked about leaving work. It's finding the most appropriate treatment for you, for your life, for your symptoms. So I've used HRT, found it very, very helpful, but it's one piece of the puzzle in looking after ourselves. There are many other ways. And I think there's a danger with all the publicity and all the push for HRT that it is the only solution, or if you start HRT you don't need to worry about anything else and it's going to be the full answer and the magic wand, and it's not. We've got to be thinking and looking after ourselves in all of those other aspects of our life.
So how do you think that women could kind of advocate for themselves when traditional menopause treatments aren't working for them?
Or finding our voice, which can be hard. And we've looked at the workplace where it can be challenging. But I think the more we talk about the menopause, the more we open that conversation to what's working for women, what have they tried? Let's talk about it. Let's share things to increase knowledge and awareness out there in general. We should never make somebody feel uncomfortable for their choices. We're all unique individuals and we've got to find, N equals 1. What's the solution for us?
So how does stress impact our hormones?
Stress is a huge factor. The body is more at stress with itself just going through the menopause. So this flux with our hormones raises our cortisol levels a little bit, and varying degrees, I would imagine, woman to woman. But so we're sort of in this heightened time of stress because of the changes with our hormones. But we know if we're in the stress state all the time, so the fight or flight you may have referred to, it can raise our blood sugar levels. So it can cause a dysregulation there, in which long-term chronic stress can be detrimental to our health. If the body is busy producing our stress hormone, or cortisol, it can take away from its ability to produce our other hormones, particularly our estrogen, progesterone levels can be affected, and our female hormones can get really tanked, if you like, because we're always in this stress state and the body's fighting to produce stress hormones to keep us, it's survival really.
Yeah.
And if you think if we're busy trying to survive, we don't want to be busy thinking about making babies and being reproductive. So we're in that stress state, so it can deplete some of our other hormones. So it's important for women at any stage of their life that we want to support our hormone function as well as we can. So all these things about reducing stress burden, things we can do to be kind to ourselves, holistically look after ourselves, is really, really important. And a big part of that is trying to reduce some of those stresses. Of course, we can't remove some of the life stresses, they happen.
Yeah.
But how we respond to stress is key, isn't it? And making sure we're having that downtime, having that time to unwind and reduce the impact of the stress. And I think women are, guilty is the wrong word, but because some women we'd be really trying to do everything right. And as much as we talk about self-care, we can go too far the other way with calorie restriction to reduce the weight, with hitting the gym every day and trying to burn off calories and endless cardio, plus working full time in stressful jobs, plus running the home, plus caring for everybody else. And you can see how all these stresses can sort of add up and just become too much for us. And then, it's no wonder that then our menopause symptoms and everything almost seem far worse because we've got all these other stresses going on.
Yeah.
So sometimes actually we need to do less.
I think going back to what we said earlier too about how, starting these habits from even your mid-20s,
Absolutely.
getting into those healthy, almost mindfulness habits, maybe even forging those, going to CBT and learning about how to manage stress from an early age so that going forward in life, you have that robust experience in doing so.
Yeah, and you've got those strategies in place that you can pull from to
Yeah.
help you when you're feeling those anxious moments coming on. CBT is great for hot flushes, can help to reduce the impact of those. So yeah, learning these things, putting these things in place from an early age, really, really important.
Yeah. What are some misconceptions about menopause that you think need to be addressed?
The negativity around it, I think, is one. So as I said, it can be a really positive time of change. It's a difficult period to get through. But as we move into that next phase of our lives, we want to try and see the positives about it, most definitely. So I think that's key. So instead of just thinking about the detrimental side, we need to be aware of those things, but let's turn that into a flip side. We don't need contraception anymore. Hopefully our children are growing up and we're going to have more time for ourselves going forward. Let's get ourselves in the best shape of our lives going forward. Let's turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
Let's stop all the negative self-talk and that positive self-affirmations. Let's make it a positive change. The HRT one, the HRT is the only solution, or that we need to constantly just add more HRT in. Or that we just need to add in testosterone and it'll fix everything. As I've said, it can be helpful, life-saving for some, but it's not the only solution. And we need to think, there's a misconception there that, if I have HRT, it's going to stop everything. It's going to fix everything, and it's not.
What's a piece of advice that you would give to a woman who's approaching menopause? Just some advice and tips and tricks.
Yeah, look at where you're starting from. What things may need to change. Let's start to put those baby steps in place to start making those positive changes. It's going to hopefully minimise a lot of your symptoms. It's going to give you those good, positive health opportunities going forward. So yeah, what can you start to do? So look at your diet. Where are you at? What things can you start to improve upon? Look at your exercise. Do some exercise. And I think move. We live in a world where we're sat a lot, aren't we?
Yeah.
And as humans, we shouldn't be sitting all the time. So what can I do? It may not be, you may genuinely not have time to get to an exercise class or go to the gym. So what can I do through my day? Little exercise snacks. I try and get up from my desk, at least every hour. Even if you go and walk up and down the stairs, while you go and put the kettle on, can I do some squats? Can I do some press-ups? That doesn't have to be a full press-up. That could be against the wall or against the kitchen counter. What can I do to build in these little movement breaks And that in turn can also help with symptoms. You're getting off a screen, it can clear your head for a moment. So regular exercise, regular movement. It can just getting outside in nature as well, getting in natural light. Big one we need to be thinking about rather than indoors all the time, sat in front of screens. Get away from the screens, get yourself outside. Yeah. So we need to be focusing on those key areas. Keeping symptom diaries, keeping a track of your periods, what's happening, so that you're aware, being attuned to our body rather than ignoring it. We need to nurture and respect our female body, I think, and be attuned to what's happening so it doesn't come as a surprise. So we recognise when things are starting to change, and so that we can start even more, pay more attention to the things we need to do. And I think being aware of the different treatment options that are out there, understand about HRT, understand what it is, how it works. Is it suitable for you? Is it something you want to consider? Is supplements the option and the way forward you want to look at and explore? And they work for a lot of women. Do you want to go down the more therapy route with CBT? Do you want to do a combination of all of those things? And understanding what's available, what's out there to help, and what may be the best way forward for you. And I think that mindset, when we talked about that positive approach and the mindset that we have, if we go into it thinking it's going to be awful, it's going to be dreadful, I'm never going to cope, will feed us down that negative path. But if we can reframe that to, embrace the changes as much as we can. It's not always, never going to be easy for most of us, but if we have a more positive outlook, embrace some of these changes that we can do, because we can all make those positive changes, it's going to be much more successful. So yes, big thing as well that we've not really talked about, because I guess we've talked about what we can do for ourselves, but having that support around us is key. And we've talked about the support at work for the workplace, but also that support out of work in our home life is super important, and having other women around us to share our experiences, to know they've got your back, and at home, who's supporting you at home? Your relationship with your partner can struggle, so we need education for the person in your life, whether that's a male partner or another female partner or whoever is close to you, just to be able to support you. So again, increasing that knowledge of menopause across the board for all of us, so we can support each other.
Absolutely. So what are your future goals or projects kind of in the realm of menopause and holistic health?
Well, to continue to support women, to continue and grow. For me, it's always been, my knowledge never stops growing. I like to read research, I like to listen to podcasts. What are other people saying? What's coming? So I said, by the time some of this research meets guidance, is years gone past. So we need to be keeping up to date, and that's key for me to know what's out there, what's coming, what are we learning. There's great research being done by Lisa Mosconi. She's a neuroscientist on the impact of menopause and the hormonal changes on our brain health, and why are women at more risk of Alzheimer's disease, and what's going on in the brain and how we can support that. Really interesting to see the developments that come there. So yeah, keeping up to date. I work for a private healthcare provider at the moment, and really fascinated to see what growth and potential we have to provide support for women going through the menopause. I work outside of that, I do some private work supporting women on various menopause or health retreats.
Wow.
As well, which I love. And I'm also involved with 3 close nurse colleagues where we put on a healthcare conference a couple of weeks ago, providing the lifestyle advice so that other practitioners can help their patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just women going through the menopause, but across the board.
Yeah.
Patients, and trying to reduce the burden of chronic disease on society, on the NHS. What can we do to support patients through really helping with that lifestyle knowledge and sharing that knowledge
to
help people?
Oh, wow.